All right, here we go again in Murrieta, California. About 100 protesters showing up today to protest the transfer of illegal immigrants to their town. Will Carr is there. Will, what can you tell us?
Hi, Neil. Well, there's still about 24 protesters here who say they'll do whatever it takes to stop any buses with immigrants from coming to the processing center here in Murrieta. The battle lines have been drawn for about a week and a half between the protesters and supporters. The protesters say they're concerned that this processing center is not a long-term housing facility and that if some of the immigrants are processed here, then they'll be released at some point into their communities. That's their fear. They say they're even willing to be arrested if it means keeping the buses out of Murrieta.
We're out here to say no more. You know, we're drawing a line in the sand. Well, not even in the sand. We're drawing a line in the blood of the patriots that have died for this country.
I don't think that mobbing a bus of terrified children is the way to go about it. I think that if you want to protest this, take it to your politician's doorstep. Take it to the White House. Don't terrorize little kids.
Supporters say they want to see these kids and the families treated fairly. At the same time, the mayor says he has not been given any indication from federal authorities if or when the buses may come here. And he says that if they do, that will only be a Band-Aid on the bigger problem, Neil, which he says is the country's immigration crisis. Back to you.
Will, thank you very much. Meantime, look at this.
You say there's an urgent humanitarian situation. Are you not at all concerned about the optics? The president can fly to Texas to raise political money, but he can't go see this urgent humanitarian situation?
We're not worried about those optics, George, and that's simply because the president is very aware of the situation that exists on the southwest border.
Very aware, so he doesn't need to see the border for himself. That isn't exactly flying with Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar from the fine state of Texas. He says the president is one step behind on this mess. The congressman now joins me on the phone. So, Congressman, by that I take it you mean he should be seeing the border?
Well, I hope this doesn't become President Obama's Katrina's moment. I'm sure that President Bush thought the same thing, that he could just look at everything from up in the sky, and that he owned it for a long time. So I hope this doesn't become the Katrina moment for President Obama, saying that he doesn't need to come to the border. He should come down. Not only Governor Perry has asked him to come down, but I know my colleagues Filemon Vela and Ruben Hinojosa invited him to come down, and I certainly would ask him to come in, even though I still think he's still one step behind. But he should come down to the border to see exactly what's happening.
And do what?
Well, I think as the leader, you should see what's happening when 1,200 or 1,300 individuals are crossing into the U.S. 20% are kids with no parents. When 500 individuals are being released at bus stations, family members, every single day from Laredo down to the valley, 500 individuals are sent to the bus, and they can go anywhere in the U.S. That doesn't even include the unaccompanied kids. I mean, I think this is not only a humanitarian crisis, but I think it has some homeland issues that we need to address also.
Have you raised these issues with the president? I know you're close to him. I mean, the White House has been arguing, I'm paraphrasing here, that has been kind of blindsided by this whole busing thing. Do you believe that?
Well, again, a long time ago, months ago, I sent a letter giving them my suggestions on how we ought to set up a one-stop center where we actually have immigration judges down there. We have the detentions. We do the removals, just the way we treat contiguous countries like Mexico and Canada, in this case mainly Mexico. And, you do everything down there, but I never got a response. Senator Cornyn and I also sent the letter asking about the status, how the kids are being treated. We never got a response, so unfortunately we haven't got those response. Now, I do have to say that Secretary Johnson is trying to do his best. I have talked to him on one occasion, and I hope that he gets support, because I will say this. This did not happen overnight. If you look at it in 2013, there were already 25,000 kids that have come in. So this is something that just didn't happen from one day to the other. It had been happening.
Do you believe then, Congressman, it's possible for agents not to see a bus, let alone a lot of buses carrying folks to the United States?
Well, if those buses start off at the Guatemalan border and they come through Mexico, there's no way that Mexico cannot see what's happening right now. As you know, Border Patrol intelligence has basically told us that there's buses coming into South Texas, at least across the river, and then they're directed to come across the river and turn themselves in. So this is something that being part of the issue is why are they coming through South Texas? Where if you're a smuggler and you're charging $5,000 per individual average, and the month of May, 48,000 came through just Texas. 48,000 times 5,000, that's $240 million a month that they made in the month.
And they don't
May.
all go back, do they? Even when discovered, they don't always go back to Mexico. I don't know where the heck they go.
Well, put it this way: if you're an adult from Central America, there are trips. There's about 20 to 25 ICE planes or charter planes that go back every week. If you're under the Human Trafficking Act, if you're a Mexican or a contiguous country, Canada, but in this case Mexico, then women, children, adults will be removed pretty quickly. But if you're in non-contiguous countries like Central American countries, in this case,
you can go wherever you want.
You get a notice to appear. And like I said, I was at the bus station a couple of days ago, and we saw at least 250 individuals there.
All right. They don't have to appear. Congressman, thank you very much. Keep us posted.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, look at the headlines. And you would think with all of these controversies, Republicans would have a lock on November. So why does Larry Sabato say not so fast?